Heyo, folks! Now it is time to answer an age-old question. How long has Prosecutor Love cheated, lying, and conducting misconduct in order to get a win? I have told you on other videos about the Shane Kendall case, where she lied and cheated to put Mr. Kendall, a youth with serious mental deficiencies, to get him into jail, into Fulton County jail, where he then died. Now, let me bring you an even older case to show you how long Prosecutor Love has been doing this. Let me tell you about Kelvin Bradley. This is from the National Registry of Exonerations. On March 11th, 2011, a large group of people gathered after a funeral in a residential neighborhood in Atlanta, Georgia. At the gathering, 36-year-old Tomika Webb confronted her boyfriend, Javensky Hilton, about illegal substances she had given him to sell on consignment, but for which he had not reimbursed her. When Webb pushed Hilton in the face, several other women became angry and began fighting with Webb, who broke free and got into her car. Although she could have driven away without incident, Webb sped down a hill through a crowd of people, narrowly missing several children. The crowd then managed to get in front of Webb's car and tried to pull her from the vehicle. Webb slammed the car into reverse and backed up, sideswiping several cars parked along the street. On the way, Webb pinned a bystander, Tina Pullins, between her car and a parked truck and ran over 26-year-old Kelvin Bradley's foot. Webb put the car in drive and accelerated towards a crowd of panicked people. Bradley, a licensed security guard with no prior criminal record, drew his handgun and fired 3 shots. One struck Webb in the head, killing her. The car rolled to a stop, and no more bystanders were hurt. A week later, first of all, in my personal opinion, justifiable. This is that person in the car, Miss Webb, with much like what's his face, Darrell Brooks, no regard for human life, just more or less trying to mow people down. Maybe not actively, but didn't care. So in my opinion, with these facts in front of me, she needed to be stopped, and she got stopped. But a week later, Bradley voluntarily surrendered to Atlanta police. Bradley's lawyer instructed the police not to question Bradley, as he had invoked his right to not to speak to the police. The officers nevertheless questioned Bradley, who admitted he shot Webb, but said he had acted in the heat of the moment and he wished to become a police officer himself. Bradley was charged with murder, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. He went to trial in Fulton County Superior Court in June of 2012. The prosecutor, Assistant District Attorney Adrian Love. Of course, Adrian Love. Okay. Presented witnesses who heard the shots and saw Webb's car come to a halt. Several witnesses close to the shooting declined to identify Bradley as the shooter, while others gave a description of a man who resembled him. Before trial, the court ruled that Bradley's statement to detectives could not be used as evidence because the officers had questioned Bradley after he asserted his right not to speak with them. Despite that ruling, Love attempted to elicit testimony from police officer that when Bradley surrendered, he never denied firing the shots. And although we don't have the trial to watch, I would assume that she asked several improper questions in order to get that into the head of the jurors, as she does now in the YSL trial. Yes. Hello, Mr. Jingles is here. Hello, Mr. Jingles. Let's continue. Bradley's defense lawyer attempted to cast blame on Hilton, Webb's boyfriend, by noting that police questioned him after the shooting and found gunshot residue on his hands, and that he had been convicted 6 months earlier for shooting at Webb. But Hilton had distinctive dreadlocks, and no one at the scene identified him as the shooter. In closing arguments, Love argued that by turning himself into police after discovering there was a warrant for his arrest, Bradley was admitting his guilt. Completely improper, should have been objected to, should have been stricken, should have been a motion for mistrial. The assumption of guilt does not go that far. If there is a arrest warrant, he did the right thing. He contacted a lawyer, and then he went down there. Then he should have shut up. But he didn't. But it was ruled, do not bring this up. And Miss Love couldn't help herself and cheated, as she always does. So, yeah, folks, this is 12 years ago now. And she did that back then. So, looking at how she conducts herself in this trial, nobody should be surprised, unless you haven't followed the case and followed my coverage of the YSL trial and the Shane Kendall case. But what infuriates me is that the judges knows this. She has been in front of them for decades. They know she cheats. They know she lies. Because she does it all the time, and the judges allow it. Let's continue. Love also argued that Bradley's silence, both before and after arrest, should be used as evidence of his guilt. Which, again, your right to remain silent is constitutional. I mean, this is so improper that alone, in that specific trial, I don't know who was the judge in that. I hope that person is no longer a judge, but you never know. That alone, mistrial. Definite mistrial. She also argued the jury should convict because he failed to come forward and tell police what he knew. There is no such thing. That completely improper, even in closing arguments. Sorry. On June 22nd, the jury convicted Bradley of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, acquitted him of murder, good for you, and failed to reach a verdict on the charge of illegal use of a weapon during the commission of a felony. He was sentenced to 20 years in prison, the statutory maximum. Remember, this guy had no priors. The victim, illegal substance dealer who actively tried to run over several people, and he get the maximum. Whoever was that judge, I hope you enjoy yourself in hell. Bradley retained a new lawyer, Andrew Fleischman, who filed a motion for a new trial. He argued that Bradley's trial lawyer was ineffective because he had failed to request a hearing to argue that Bradley had acted in defense of others, failed to request that the jury be instructed that they could acquit if he acted in defense of others, and failed to object when Love improperly commented on Bradley's pre-arrest silence. Okay. Yeah, I would assume that is ineffective of counsel. Really, So, Miss Love uses the fact that he has a bad lawyer, and the judge allows it. Now, judges, despite everything you have ever been told, have great authority in the courtroom. They actually have the right to stop a trial. They have. But they won't. In 2016, Fulton County Superior Court Judge Henry Newkirk granted Bradley a new trial. The judge ruled that Bradley's trial lawyer had provided an inadequate legal defense by failing to object when Love argued that the jury should convict because Bradley never spoke to police. Since Bradley had made a statement, this argument was both legally improper and factually false, the judge ruled. The judge also ruled that Bradley's defense attorney has provided an inadequate legal defense by not requiring a pre-trial ruling that Bradley had acted in self-defense, a motion the judge said he would have granted. Bradley was released on bond pending a retrial. Fleischman then filed a motion asking that Bradley be found immune from prosecution because he was acting in defense of others, citing a Georgia statute that holds a person acting in defense of others immune from even being charged with the crime. On April 5th, 2017, Judge Newkirk granted the motion and dismissed the remaining charge pending against Bradley. This court found that Bradley's actions were justified under Georgia law, the judge declared. Neither he nor the attendees at the funeral had any duty to flee, as the state suggested. Nor had the state shown any compelling evidence that Bradley could have escaped without abandoning Tina Pullins. The use of deadly force was authorized because Webb was in the process of committing a number of forcible felonies against many innocent bystanders, including children. Bradley could not have known if Webb was going to turn around to strike again or whether she would hit more people in the process of escaping the scene of the crime, the judge said. The Fulton County District Attorney's Office elected not to file a notice of appeal by May 5th, 2017, meaning that the judge's ruling was final. So there you have it, folks. The law was actually over clear that this was charges that should have never been brought in the first place, and the responsibility for this is on then district attorney's office under, what is his name, Paul something, but primarily Adrian Love, who chose to go forward with it. And we know why she goes forward with this, because she loves punishing people, especially people she knows are innocent. She put this man behind bars through lying and cheating, Kelvin Bradley. She was, in my opinion, directly responsible for the death of Ken Shendel, and now she is screwing over everybody in the YSL trial. And the sad part here is that the judges in Fulton County knows this. There's no way they don't know this. There's no way Fannie Willis doesn't know this. I assume she knows it and approves of it, just as judges in Fulton County. Will the defendant in the YSL trial have a fair trial? No. They can't have. I have a hard time I have a hard time with the fact that nobody seems to be given a fair trial in Fulton County, as long as judges approves of Miss Love's conduct, as long as Miss Love is a district attorney or assistant district attorney, and people are prepared to hire her as a prosecutor and give her cases. She's good at winning, but she's winning by cheating and lying. And folks, that has to stop. It has to. And Primarily, how do you stop that from happening? Fani Willis is up for re-election now in a month or so. If you live in Fulton County, you have a responsibility to kick her out of her office. That is what I had for you. Thank you all for showing up, and me and Mr. Jingles here bids you not farewell, but until next time. Hug your family. Unless your family's crap, then screw them and give your love to the people who deserve it. Okay? See ya.